Welcome to Freedive Live with Ted Hardy, episode number 14. Sorry I'm running a little late. I had some technical issues as always. So my name's Ted Hardy. I'm the founder of Immersion Freediving as well as freedivingsafety.com. If you haven't visited freedivingsafety.com, you certainly should. It's a free online resource that I created that provides, teaches you the risks of the sport, goes over the risks of the sport, the truth about blackout, the fatality numbers, how to tell if you're overweighted, how to tell if you're breathing correctly or in a way that actually increase your risk for having a blackout, how to minimize your chance of blackout, and ultimately, in a worst case scenario, if your buddy has a blackout or loss of motor control, what does it look like? And then what do you do about it? Right. So I teach you how to save your buddy. If you go through the program, I've got a quiz in there, and if you pass the quiz, you're also going to get discounts from 9 of the biggest names in the sport, right? So you can learn to save yourself, learn to save your buddy, learn to save some money, but either way, there's no reason you should not visit freedivingsafety.com. Today, my game plan is going to be the following. Came back from the Blue Wild, largest freediving spearfishing trade show in the USA, so that was a lot of fun. I got to see a lot of actually you guys come up and like, oh yeah, I see you on the Freedive Live. That was cool. So that was neat to see some of the guys, actually to see the actual people watch the dang thing. So that was kind of cool. So game plan for today is I'm going to be going over kind of what happened at the show. What's up? What happened at the show. I'm going to share with you some of my thoughts on how I can best serve the freediving spearfishing industry. I'm going to talk about the launch of a new program called Breath Hold Secrets that I launched for the Blue Wild Expo, the Blue Wild Expo trade show this weekend, and then I'm going to discuss freediving and decompression sickness. People always ask if freedivers can't get bit, and they're always shocked when I go, yeah, absolutely they can. Right, so we're going to get into that. So for the folks that are watching, let me know where you're from. Always like to get an idea of where people are from, so I know who's watching. And what's your longest breath hold, right? What's the longest time you've ever held your breath for? So again, I'm curious, are most people watching brand new and they're, minute, 2 minute breath holds? We got some more experienced guy doing 4 or 5 minute breath holds. We got some of my students, maybe like Nate, who does 7 minute breath holds, driving me crazy, holds his breath forever. So do me a favor in the comments. Let me know where you're from, what your breath hold is. The more people type in those comments, the more Facebook and everything thinks that this thing is actually good, and so they show it to more people, so that helps as well. $5.15. Oh, you're an instructor. It doesn't count. That's an awesome breath hold. I shouldn't say that. Of course you count, Bob. Of course you count. All right, so a couple things. The trade show was really cool, right? It's always neat to meet folks that I put a name to that I know from online. There was a couple of freedive instructors that I hadn't meet. Let's see, I got to meet. The title freediving guy. I think his name's Dale. I got to meet him, and then I met Ryan Rush, the dive source guy. Both of them are PADI instructors. I see them all the stuff online, so it was neat to actually meet them. But it was 6:05. That's longer than my competition PB. My competition PB is 6:01, so that's an awesome breath hold. I got sidetracked. I was probably looking at the comments. So anyway, so the show was really cool. I enjoyed it always. Like I said, I got to meet a lot of people, and it was neat for me because that show was in essence the birthplace of freedivingsafety.com. So some of you may know that the year before that, I was awarded a Sherry Day gave me an award for promoting freediving safety to the freediving spearfishing community. It was the award for a guy named Demetrius. There was an anonymous donor. He died. There's an anonymous donor that put up $10,000 in his honor. So the guy was Demetrius. He used to own a spearfishing magazine. What was it called? Oh, The Deep. And so he had been very involved in the spearfishing industry. So there was an anonymous donor that put $10,000 to give to Sherry to do 5 awards over 5 years for people that were promoting and helping doing good for the sport. So anyway, so Sherry, I got the award last year. She gave me a big fat $2,000 check, and I immediately hired a web designer to make free. I had a web designer and got 2 professional video guys to come and shoot freediving safety. So anyway, a lot of rambling there. It was cool because that was kind of where the whole thing started. And I had so many people say they had gone through the program, that it helped them. What's up, Kevin? That it helped them, and so I had a really cool thing happen. I'm going to show you the video of it, right? So a guy comes up to me. He's like, "Oh, Ted," he's like, "Man, I'm in your 28-day program." It was crazy. I had probably 12 or 15 people say they went through that 28-day program, so that was super cool. But so this one guy comes and goes, "Yeah, I went through the program." He goes, "So here's the deal." He goes, "I took the FI class." He goes, "The FI level 1 class. It was awesome. I learned how to be safe." He goes, "All that kind of cool stuff." He goes, "And then I went out diving with all my buddies." He goes, "They're a bunch of idiots. They don't do anything. They're totally unsafe. Like, this one goes that way. This one goes that way. They won't pay any attention." And he's like, "What the hell? Like, I want to be safe. None of them do anything." And so he was frustrated. And then he goes, "Wait a minute. He goes, I own this boat. I have the power." And so what he did was, because when he went through the 28-day program, the freediving safety program is obviously, in essence, embedded in it. In fact, you have to watch that first before you can access other stuff. But so he said, "All right, look, here's the rule on my boat." He said you have to either watch freediving safety, or you have to either be certified, or you have to go to freedivingsafety.com and you have to pass the quiz and get 100%, and you take me a screenshot of it, right? So I thought that was really cool. So anyway, he goes through this whole thing, and I'm like, and I pull up my phone. I'm like, "Can you please say that again?" So I got a video. So I'll show you a quick little video. But this was, I was super, super excited here. So let me see if I'm smart enough to make this work. Oh, there he is. Make this go away. Make this go away. And hopefully you guys will be able to hear this. I think I've got it sorted out so that works. So let's hear him.
All right, so my name's Garcia Alonso. I started freediving about a year and a half ago. Took a class, an FII class, and I learned safety, learned all the good stuff and all that, and went out on the water, went out with some friends, met some people, and found out I don't want to dive with none of these people that I met on these crazy trips and these crazy charters and all this stuff. So how do I mitigate that? I mitigate that by saying, "Hey, look, I have a boat. You guys want to go diving? Go to freedivingsafety.com, take that class, pass that class, send me a screenshot of it. I know you passed it. Now you're allowed on the boat. Welcome aboard."
That's awesome.
So yeah, so that's a really cool use of it. I've had people email me stuff like that, but it was really neat to see that in person. I love the idea of that he makes them give a screenshot of the phone so he knows that he did it. There is an option, just haven't done it yet because it's got so much stuff on my plate, where you can get a certificate. So I just haven't set it up that way, and I think it doesn't cost me or anyone anything, but it would be kind of neat if I can make it so when you complete, you get a certificate, especially if I can make it so if you get 100% on the quiz, because I'm pained about that way. But anyway, so you could tell people that know about freediving safety that you went through the program. But anyway, so that was super cool. I thought that was awesome. Yeah, Nate, I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's super cool." So what's kind of going on with me is, I've been at this game for 10 years, and what I've always been focused on is basically how to teach the most classes I can. That's basically been my goal for the past 10 years. I want to teach as many classes as I can. I want to offer a comprehensive program, make people know it's a good program, and I've just been kind of plowing at that goal for since I started. And now with the launch of freedivingsafety.com, and I see how much good it does when I see how incredibly more effective it is. That thing's been online for like 3 months, and it's almost taught more people to be safe than I have in my 10-year career. Right, I've still taught more than the stupid website, but it's not gonna be long where that thing's gonna outpace me. But that's exciting. Right, because if you know me, I'm a fan of freediving safety, and this is just a way more efficient way to deliver the information. So then I've been thinking, okay, well now instead of what's the best thing, what should I do? And I've always said, well, I should just teach as many classes as I can so that I can teach people to be as good as they can, and then spread my safety first message. But now I'm like, well, maybe that's not what I should be doing, because that whole process happens five people a week. And that's awesome for the 5 people. They come here, but that's not the biggest way. So basically now I'm thinking, how can I better impact the freediving spearfishing industry? So promoting freedivingsafety.com, that's going to be a huge goal of mine now in the future. And I got to figure out how to do that. I don't quite know how the best way to do that, but I will figure it out. And then the other thing I started thinking about, well, how can I have a bigger impact? Well, one way is I want to provide free educational training, online courses for freediving instructors, regardless of agency, PADI, NAUI, SSI, PFI, FI, whoever, Apnea Academy, ADA, whoever interested in it, where I could provide a lot of education to how to be a better instructor, teach your classes better, run your business better, right? And why would I do that? So every single person in the United States that takes a freediving course gets a better experience, right? So if there's instructors out there that, and I think some instructors would be interested, some instructors will probably be like, well, that's stupid, I don't need that. But I think, already just a couple of people I've talked to, they've been like, wow, that would be awesome. I'd be very interested to see what you have. So that's another thing I'm thinking about doing. I've got about 75% of it planned in my head, so I got the last 25% to do, but as I get that sorted, I will let people know about that. At the show, I launched a new course, and it's called Breath Holding Secrets. And basically, the pitch of the show, I did a presentation at the Blue Wild. It was awesome. That was the most people have ever had at a presentation ever. In fact, actually every seat was taken, and there were people standing. That is never. I've spoken there like 7 years in a row. That's never happened. So it's either one or two things, and I don't know which it is. And it's funny. Either one, I'm like, oh, people must know who I am more and they want to come see me talk. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm doing really good. And then I'm like, no, I know why it is. It's the damn title, right? Every year I do a presentation called, freediving blackout, how to save your buddy from a blackout, freediving safety. And like 8 people show up. And of course this one was entitled Breath Holding Tips. So I don't know which it was. It's probably the title. And so, of course, at the end, I snuck in some safety, right? Because I know that so in the future, I'm probably not going to title my presentations Freediving Safety, because then they just go, and they don't show up. So anyway, but it was really cool to see all the seats taken and people standing up in the back, so that was cool. So anyway, during the show, so the course was basically on breath holding secrets. So the course is, and here's the deal. Like, so if you talk to anyone, for those of you that haven't taken a freediving class, you've probably been around someone that has. And if you've talked to someone who's taken a freediving class, they're going to go, oh my God, like I can't believe how long I held my breath. I held my breath for 3 minutes, for 4 minutes, or 5 minutes, or I doubled my breath hold, or I added a minute, I added 2 minutes, I added, and they're just going to go blah, 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 about how much they held their breath for, right? Because freediving classes are very good at teaching you how to hold your breath longer. We all know how to do that, right? And there's one secret to it. There's one big secret to it. And the secret is not what you think it is, right? When I took the class, I thought, I knew I could hold my breath about 2 minutes, and I felt like I was going to die. It was horrible. It was the most painful thing I experienced. And so I'm like, these guys can do 4 or 5 minute breath holds. I'm like, I can hold my breath for 2 minutes, 2 minutes, 15 seconds. I can hold my breath any bit longer than that. And everyone kept saying, no, you'll be able to hold your breath 4 or 5 minutes. So I'm like, nope. And then I thought, it would be the most painful thing on the planet if I doubled my breath hold, because I know how much it hurts in 2 minutes. I'm like, they must teach some sort of like, Tibetan monk, like pain receptors where you feel no pain or something. I'm like, they must have some way to block the pain. And, sure enough, I showed up for the class the first day. I do a 4 minute breath hold. The second day, I do a 5 minute breath hold. And it didn't hurt, right? The 2 minute breath hold hurt way more, right? So all the freediving classes do the same thing. The secret to holding your breath is not what you do when you hold your breath. The secret is what you do before you hold your breath, right? If you do what you're supposed to do before you hold your breath, holding your breath a long time is as simple as going, stop breathing. That's it. You just quit breathing, and you hold your breath a really long time, right? If you don't know what you're doing, you quit breathing, and pretty quickly you go, this sucks, right? You're not going to enjoy it, right? So the course goes over, that idea, right? Like, what is it you do before the breath hold? So it's got the 20 to 30% bigger breath course embedded in it. It's got the freediving safety course embedded in it, because every course I have has the freediving safety course embedded in it. And then it goes over, how to prep for a breath hold, and then I go over how to do some simple exercises to help you with your breath hold at home, right? So in essence, what this course is it's one component of the 28-day freediving transformation program, right? And it's but it's it's $39, right? So if you just want to get a taste for what's going on, get to see how how the online courses work, it's a nice way to get into it. The 28-day program is $149. Right, but this is kind of like a stepping stone. If you can't do the 150, at least you can get some good information, right? So that was the launch of that program. So I'm getting all of that sorted. If you want to check that program out, that's where you go, right? Onlinefreedivingcourses.com. You go through there, and that'll show you what you need to know. What I will tell you is, because I get a lot of students that if you do go to that website, one of the first things it says is sign up for the course to take a bigger 20-30% bigger breath, and I have a lot of people that are like, but Dad, I already signed up for that course. So there's a button where you can hit right below it, say like, I've already done that course, and you kind of just bypass it, right? So you don't sign up for it again, right? But you guys can check that out if you like. All right, so for those that are here, do me a favor. I'm going to go over my topic, and then if you guys have questions in there, please put those in the comments. It's looking like I can see those, so I should be able to access those when I'm done with the topic. If you guys like the show, if you like the video, hit the like button once again. The more people that say that they like it, Facebook goes, oh, this guy must know what he's talking about, and it like actually shows it to a lot more people. So if you enjoy the show, if you enjoy what I'm doing, freedivingtips.com, hit the like button for me. If you got a question, put it in the comments, right? I mean, not often that you get, I mean, if you've got a buddy who's your roommate who has 10 years of experience as a freediving instructor, you probably get all your freediving questions answered, but your probably roommate isn't that, right? So my suggestion is there's probably something running around in your brain that you're not sure about freediving. Ask me, it's my job. All right, decompression sickness and freediving. People ask me all the time. Okay, that's not over. People ask me this all the time. I get asked this on occasion, and I discuss it in class for sure. But the question is, actually, scuba instructors do ask me this: can freedivers get bent? And the answer is absolutely, absolutely, we can get bent. Right? There's no question about it. Right? And how do I know that? Because I know freedivers have been bent. It's that simple. Kirk Kroc, the guy that's stuffing, he can't be bothered to teach his little silly freediving courses now. He's always doing this crazy stuff with Holliver and James Cameron. It's crazy. But anyway, it was always cool to catch up and see what he's up to. So he's here for a couple of days, and now he's down to Cayman running the PFI training camp down there. But anyway, decompression sickness. Yeah, so Kirk got bent. And at the time, he was like every other dive instructor, and everyone just said freedivers can't get bent. So he was like, sweet, freedivers can't get bent, then I ain't got to worry about it. And so he just was out freediving. I wasn't concerned about it because the experts told him that he couldn't get bent. And then he bent himself. And then he went, yeah, that's that's not true. So here's what happened. So Kirk has a fascination with scooters. Well, if you've ever been on a scooter and if it's a freediver, you would see why he has a fascination, because the scooters are awesome. They're so much fun. And so this was years ago, a decade at least. No, at least more than 10 years ago, because I've known him for 10 years. It was before that. So let's call it 15 years ago. He's down in Cayman, and he got on a scooter. And I think he was actually breaking a Guinness World Record, right? It's some sort of Guinness World Record of the deepest scooter-assisted freedive. I don't know. That probably was never even such a thing. But anyway, whatever. He was trying to break some record. And he's on a scooter, right? So Kirk's got easily a 7-minute breath hold, right? So you have to understand, on a scooter, right, you've got a harness on, right, and you just hold on to the scooter and you press the button, and it goes, and then down you go, right? So for, Kirk can freedive to 60 meters, no problem. Kirk can freedive to 80 meters, no problem, right? So he grabs on the scooter, and does a drop down to 40 meters, right? One of the first parts of the reef, he's cruising around down there. Incredible dive, right? He's like, oh my God, this is awesome, right? There's all this reef down here. I don't have to press in. He can do 2.5, 3-minute dive because all he's doing is pressing the button. He doesn't have to kick, right? So he comes up and he's like, oh my God, that was crazy, right? That was so cool. He's like, he goes, that was so easy. I'm gonna do 200 feet. I'm gonna do 60 meters next, right? Now, you have to understand, when Kirk hit the surface, basically, yeah, he did a 40-meter dive, and yeah, it was 2.5, 3 minutes long. But do you understand it was basically like a 3-minute static for Kirk? And is that a stressful dive for Kirk? Nope. Right? So when he hit the surface, did he have to breathe up for 15 minutes? No, right? And it was like a game. It was like a toy, right? It's like the ride. He goes, I want to get back down, right? So he's taking 2-3 minutes, and then down he goes again, right? And then he goes to 200 feet, and he's cruising around. And, again, he's down there for 2.5, 3 minutes. And he hits the surface. He's like, oh my God, there's this like arch down there. It's a little bit deeper, right? And he goes, I could absolutely like just, I could go through that arch, turn around and come back and make it up to the top, right? So he goes down again, right? Again, and then this arch a little bit down is 80 meters, right? So he goes on this 80-meter scooter dive, and he goes through this crazy thing, comes up to the surface, right? And he was like, oh my God, that was so cool, so amazing, right? So the Guinness people were there, and he did whatever he did, and so he's getting on the back of the boat, right? Unattaches the scooter, and then he's on the back deck, right? And so he's, when you go to the back deck of the boat, kind of take your fins off, and he's about to pop himself up, and he's got his hands on the platform, and then all of a sudden, he feels tingling on his toes, his foot. And he's like, that's weird. And then he feels that tingling kind of, now it's not on his foot, now it's on his ankles and his shin. And he realizes that tingling sensation is like kind of moving up his legs. He's like, that's weird, right? And then the tingling sensation gets to about mid-thigh, and he realizes it's not just tingling. He can't move anything underneath where it's tingling. So now he can't move his toes. Now he can't move his ankles. That tingling sensation moves up. Right now it's mid-chest. Now he can't move his legs whatsoever. His mask is on his forehead, and he realizes, I'm about to fall in the water paralyzed. Right? So the last thing he does is that sensation is coming up. He takes the mask on his forehead, sticks it on his face before he falls in the water, which is exactly what happened. He falls in the water unconscious. Right? Obviously, someone was there. They watched him, saw him, grabbed him, put him on the back of the boat. He was unconscious for 18 minutes, laying on the back of the boat, feet going like this, right, for 18 minutes. He came to, and he's like, yeah, they know he had a type 2 DCS, central nervous system hit, right? So they take him to the chamber, which there is one in Cayman, and they were close by. They know where to take him. So they take him to the chamber, and like, yeah, we got to put this guy in. And Kirk's like, Kirk's a highly trained technical scuba diver. I mean, Kirk was doing 500-foot dives before they knew how to do 500-foot dives, right? Because they didn't have rebreathers that can do it. I mean, he's always been a pioneer. So anyway, he was very well versed with decompression sickness. Anyways, Bob was like, yeah, I need to go in the chamber, and then he's like, whoa. The guy's like, what happened? What happened? He's like, oh, I was free diving. He's like, free divers can't get bent, right? Like, it didn't go away. It was a vagus nerve response. Like, you're fine. They wouldn't put him in the chamber. Would not put him in the chamber. So all he could do at that point was go home and go to the dive shop and grab Pure O2 and just breathe it until he breathed out all O2 he could get his hands on. So at that point, he was like, yeah, that whole freedivers don't get bent. That's a bunch of bunk, right? Like, and then he became quite interested in researching freediving and DCS. So here's the issue. Here's the problem with it. There's not a lot of data on it, and here's why. I'll ask is so do you know how, like, when you look at the scuba diving, right? Scuba diving and decompression sickness is very well understood, right? There's your tables, and you got your dive computers. No one uses the tables anymore, but I think it's super important if you learn how to do the table, whatever, it doesn't matter, I don't teach scuba anymore. So those tables, does anyone know where those tables came from? I'm curious what the delay in the comments is too. But does anyone know how we got those tables? Because I will tell you, those tables are very good. They're pretty darn accurate, and the dive computer models are in essence are based off the tables. Does anyone know? Let me know in the comments where those scuba diving tables came from, how they were created. I will get into that after, Chris. Anyway, too long a delay in the comments, I want to wait. So the way that those tables were, they started the U.S. Navy dive tables, and here's what they did, right? Yes, the Navy, but the question is, how did they get them? And here's what they did. First thing they did is they bent a bunch of pigs. And they based their thing on that. And then they got a line of 50 Navy divers. You guys know what a decompression chamber is, right? So you get in this room, you lock all the doors, airtight, and then it simulates you bringing down to pressure, right? So what they did is they hit, like, guy number one, go into the decompression chamber, they take the guy really deep, they bring him up to the surface really fast, and then he walks out, and they're like, oh yeah, that guy's bent. Well, that guy was down way too long. All right, next guy, do a couple minutes left. And they put him in, they shoot him down, they bring him up, take him out. Yeah, he's still bent, right? So we need to do a little bit less, right? And they bent all these Navy divers, and eventually they do it, and they're like, he's not bent, right? So he's pretty good, right? So that makes, so, that one's too much, and this is about right. So, they bent a bunch of Navy divers, and they figured out, in essence, figured out how to do that. So I was, you can't do stuff like that anymore, right? It's not allowed. So I always joke that, if the Navy were to ever call up me or PFI and be like, yeah, so we're interested in doing some research in decompression sickness. You guys want to come on down? Yeah. Nope. I'm booked. I am busy, right? So, and so then what happens is the Navy created these dive tables, and they gave them to the scuba population, the scuba agencies, and and they're like, yeah, just follow these things and no one will get bent. And then the scuba agency's like, yeah, these things don't work, our guys are getting bent. And then the Navy's like, oh yeah, we did these on like fit 21-year-old men, and we need to adjust it for the actual scuba population. But anyway, that's where those tables came from. We can't do that for free divers. Now, not to mention, decompression sickness and freediving is incredibly more complicated and more complex than it is for scuba. So Kirk found one study, and it was a Greek researcher who was studying decompression sickness among a spearfishing sustenance village. So this village that's how they provided food, is for spearfishing. And what happened over the course of 20, 30 years, it used to be they freedive to 40 feet and get the fish, and then they fished that out. So then there was the 50, 60 foot area, and they fished that out over decades. And then it was, the 80 foot area, and they fished that out. And then the fish were 100 feet, but they couldn't freedive to 100 feet. So then they figured out the strategy was to have guys in the boat, make them hold onto rocks with strings or a line, and they would do a variable ballast drop. So then they would hold onto the weights. They didn't have to spend the time getting down. And then when they got down there, they could get the fish, and then they would swim up to the surface, right? So they're doing variable ballast drops. So, and at that point, these guys were reporting DCS type symptoms, right? Decompression sickness symptoms. So with I'm kind of oversimplifying what happened, but in essence, at that point, the group is already bending themselves anyway. So it's not like he is making them get bent. They're already bending themselves, in a population. And so basically, he provided a set of rules. Follow these rules and see if you still get bent. And they're like, well, we still see a couple of people. We'll try to follow it. Anyway, so at some point, he came up with this, hey, if these guys follow these rules that this guy came up with, it seems like they don't get bent, right? And so that was kind of our data point, right? Which is not nearly as good as bending a ton of people and finding out for sure, right? But anyway, so that was kind of the framework. So this guy created a freediving table, very similar to a scuba table, except that it's like 10 times more complicated than the scuba table. And you know how much you love doing your scuba table. I mean, you go on a dive boat, you just say everyone's got their tables, and they're like, oh, sweet, here's my surface interval, this is how long I'm down, here's my nitrogen group, and blah, blah. No one pays any attention to that stuff. So you create a freediving table that's 10 times more complicated than a diving table. This is PhD only, right? So it's an academic exercise only, has no value to the real world for most people. So what Kirk did is Kirk extrapolated from this crazy mess of data 2 simple rules, and these are the rules that myself and the other PFI instructors teach. Okay, so this is how to minimize your risk of having decompression sickness. Now, I'm going to lay out the rules and understand decompression theory. Decompression is based on models, right? And so it's not a hard and fast rule. What I mean by that, if you're a scuba diver and it says, at 100 feet, you can stay down for 8-9 minutes, whatever. I'm so far removed from it. Is it 8 minutes? 12 minutes? Anyway, whatever. Let's say it's 12 minutes. It says whatever depth you go to, it says you can only stay down for 12 minutes. If you stay down for 13 minutes, that doesn't mean you're going to get bent. It means your chance for getting bent is elevated, right? So you're just increasing your risk. So the basic rule is, and this is, I see I think most freediving classes teach the same thing. That's certainly the first one. Is you want to double your time at the surface versus your actual dive time. So if you're doing minute dive times, at a minimum, you want 2 minutes of the surface. If you're doing 2 minute dive times, you want at a minimum 4 minutes of the surface, right? So you want to double that time on the surface to allow you to off gas, right? And that is to reduce your risk of decompression sickness. Now, I would tell you that double your dive time is one. It's a good rule to reduce decompression sickness, but also everyone wants more bottom time, right? And so, like, people call me on the phone and say, "Ted, man, yeah, I've heard about your classes. I'm looking at the spot right now. I'm gonna click the button and sign up right now. But I just need you to tell me if you guarantee me that I can get 10, 15 more seconds bottom time when I'm spearfishing, I will sign up today." And because I'm kind of a smart ass, I'm like, look, if you want 10 seconds more bottom time and you're willing to pay me $800 for that, save your money. Don't sign up for my class. Wait 1 more minute on the surface. Wait 1 extra minute on the surface every time you dive, and I guarantee you'll get your 10 seconds. Right? So, that resting double your bottom time for decompression sickness is obviously a good idea, and it's also good for performance, but I tell you, that's the bare minimum of your surface interval time. If you want more bottom time, just rest more. Obviously, you're going to get more time down there. Okay? Now, that double your bottom time works for most, right? For most depths. We say between 0 and 25 meters, which is about 82 feet. Okay? When we're diving deeper than that, we rest longer. And this is the rule that is certainly for sure not routinely not followed. When we're diving between deeper than 25 meters, 25 to 40 meters, PFI recommends 8-minute rest. 8 minutes at the surface. And for sure, that one is often not followed. Now, if you do, you do dives to let's say 100 feet and you're not resting for 8 minutes, does that mean you're going to get bent? No, because a lot of people don't follow that rule and not everyone gets bent. But it certainly increases the risk. And here's what I will tell you. More and more people are getting bent. And here's why. Number one, very few of them follow the decompression sickness rules. But the main reason why more and more people getting bent, especially spearfishermen, is they're getting good. Their dive ability is getting good because there's access to more education. They're taking classes. They're diving deeper, right? They're staying down there longer, right? And so that's all going to be increasing the risk, right? So let's talk about who is the type of person that gets bent, right? Your guy on the snorkeling trip, if you're running a snorkel boat, he ain't getting bent, right? He's a snorkel. He might not be following the downtime room, but he's not gonna get decompression sickness, right? So there are in essence 2 groups of people that get decompression sickness, right? One, incredibly deep free divers. We've seen free divers get DCS for sure, and it seems to be I'm guesstimating, but it's like between 90 meters and 120, 130 meter, whatever their dive machine. I think 130. Lord, I don't even know anymore. What's the record? 128. Anyway, so that kind of range you will see people sometimes having DCS issues just on a one down and up dive. So the competitive, high level competitive athletes can have it, and the next group is the spearfishermen that are really good, right? And especially so on tournament day. Right, because think about this. All right, let's say you got a really good spearfisherman, and he has and it's also like very recently Ryan Myers, right? He's a freediving instructor, incredibly deep spearfisherman, and he got bent to the World Championships along with many other people because I don't remember the exact details where they were diving. You had to dive like 150 feet to find the fish, right? And so they're all diving crazy deep, all day, and it wasn't just Ryan. There were multiple people getting decompression sickness, right? So what makes that spearfisherman, and especially I always say tournament day, more at risk is as follows. So let's say that the spearfisherman goes out to the super secret wreck, and let's say it's super productive, and in the reality they're probably not going to do exactly what I'm describing, but you'll use it for illustration point. You'll get my point. So let's say they're on this 100-foot wreck, and they have the ability to free dive 100 feet, right? So they're going to free dive down to 100 feet. They're going to stay down there as long as they can. Come on up, and then immediately they're going to go back down, right? And so they're going to be doing this all day, right? Down to 100 feet, up, down, up, down. Now, if you're a scuba instructor or you're a scuba diver, right, so basically at the end of that day, if I were to circle all that time on the bottom, they might have 2 or 3 hours at 100 feet absorbing nitrogen. And between each one of those, they go, brum, 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 brum. If you know anything about scuba, you're like, huh, and maybe it seems not so good, right? So, exactly, right? So, one, that repetitive nature, because the spear fisherman is so good, and he can dive so deep, and he's staying down there a long time. Between each dive, he's going up and down because it's free divers. That's kind of how we do it. That's how we have to do it. You're really starting to increase that risk, and that's why we see more and more spear fishermen getting bent. I have seen things in the forum that drive me crazy. Where I see these spear fishermen, in Europe and stuff, and they're describing DCS type symptoms, but it's actually some of them is like a badge of honor that they're so good. They're bending themselves, and they refuse to change stuff. It is crazy. But in that scenario I just described, which is obviously a made up scenario, this person is also very likely not waiting that 8 minutes, right? So that's one thing you can do to mitigate that risk is 8 minutes. When we start diving deeper than that, so that's between 25 and 40 meters, like 82 feet and 130 feet. Like when I'm doing 200-foot scooter dives, which is exactly how Kirk, bent himself, we are doing even a more prolonged rest. We're doing 18 minutes on the surface, and we're using a variety of mixed technical gases to help off-gas us. But that requires a high level of knowledge because I'm not going to get into exactly what we do, because if you do it incorrectly, you can kill yourself. But we understand how to use that, and Kirk coined the phrase technical freediving, where we're actually using advanced gases that normally only technical divers use. We use it as freediving, so it's actually pretty cool. But if you don't know what you're doing, you can kill yourself, which is why I'm not super awesome to talk about it. I don't like to discuss it, the details of it. But yeah, so that's the idea of the decompression sickness and freediving. So if you guys have questions, feel free to put those in the comments. I think I might have seen some. Let me see if my old chat window is pulling up. Cool, I think I can see them. The other type of people that tend to get bent, let me tell you another way. I know scuba instructors that bent themselves freediving, and here's how. Right? They go to they're on the wreck dive, right? Maybe working their job, and they're going on a 100-foot wreck dive, and they're scuba diving, right? And they're scuba instructors. They do everything that they should. They go down nice and slow. They do their dive, right? They're fastest, slower than their slowest bubble. and or they're watching their computer. They do their safety stop for 35 minutes. They do everything perfect. And then they get on the boat. They take their gear off, right? They take their fins off. They get their super long freediving fins, and they stick them on, and they go, watch this. And they're going to go down to 100 feet, touch the wreck, and then come up to the surface, right? So here's the question for you. When that scuba instructor took his BC off and his tanks and stuck it on the deck, did all the nitrogen in his body magically pop out of his body and attach to the BC and it stayed on the boat? Nope. Right? Where's all that nitrogen? It's still in there, right? It's still in the blood, right? And so when he bombs down to the bottom and he touches the deck and he's like, woo, right? Question, when he comes up to the surface, does he come up fast or slow? Fast. He's a free diver. Is he going up slower than his slowest bubble? Nope. Right? What does he do when he gets to 15 feet? Does he do a safety stop? Nope. He goes flying up to the surface because he's a free diver. So in essence, if you were to ask any scuba instructor what would happen to you if you were to, on scuba, bomb down and bomb up, they go, oh, no, oh, you shouldn't do that, right? You're going to run the risk of decompression sickness, right? But scuba instructors, right, this is exactly what happened, right? You took the tank off, you did the dive, didn't think anything about free diving down and doing it. But when you think about it, the nitrogen's still in there, right? So the risk is in essence the same. So one of the worst things you can do as a free diver is go scuba diving first and then go free diving, and then right, because then you are just asking to get bent, right? And I know of free divers that have bent themselves, in free diving scuba instructors that have bent themselves in exactly the same manner that I just described. So that's definitely something you want to avoid, is you do not want to be going free diving after you go scuba diving. So now, when I talk about this in class, I say over and over again, don't go scuba diving after, don't go free diving after you go scuba diving. Don't go free diving after you go scuba diving. So what's the question you think I get now? Oh, okay. So it's okay if I go free diving and then go scuba diving. No, uh, it's not as bad, but it is still a problem. Let me tell you why. We know freedivers get bent. You know freedivers get bent. I've just talked about many examples of freedivers getting bent. So we know that they get bent, right? So we know that as a freediver, we absorb nitrogen. The mechanics behind that is rather complicated and a little beyond the scope of this, what I'm doing here. But you know that we absorb nitrogen because we get bent. If we weren't getting bent, so anyway, we know we absorb nitrogen because we get bent. So the question is, imagine this. You go out. So what happened, people will say, oh, Ted, if I go free diving and then scuba diving, I just take if I'm going to do, let's say I'm going to go free dive for, a couple hours, maybe I'm doing spearfishing, and then I'm going to go dive the Thunderbolt, which is on, 100, the deck's at 100 feet. Because I did all that free diving, I'll just take 2 minutes off my downtime. Okay, where did you pull that number of 2 minutes from? I know where you pulled it from, right? It has no bearing on anything, right? So imagine this. You're a free diver, and you did, 29 dives between 40 and 80 feet. How much nitrogen do you have in your system? You have no idea how much nitrogen. If you know anything about scuba, and you have to know how much nitrogen you have in your system so that when you dive future dives, you know how much to limit your future dive for. But when you're free diving like that, I guarantee you there's some nitrogen, otherwise we wouldn't get bent. But I don't know how much nitrogen is in there. Your dive computer doesn't know how much is in there. Dan doesn't know how much is in there. Your patty table doesn't know how much is in there. So since you know how much nitrogen is actually in your body, when you go do that next dive, you have no way to plan for it because you don't know what's in there, right? So by saying I'm just going to take a couple minutes off my dive profile, okay. So here's the rule, and it sucks because I like to free dive and scuba dive. Is separate days. Free dive on one, scuba dive on the other, right? Yes, there are people that do it, that mix it, and I hope you don't get bent if you do it, but it definitely you are increasing your risk. Now, what I'll tell you, what I had to do after I took the freediving class, and then I came back and I worked at the dive shop, I had to free dive after I'd be doing a wreck dive, and I had to do the wreck dive, and then let's say a customer drops something, or the captain wants me to pull up the anchor or look at something, and I'm free diving. Now I know that's maybe not the best thing. So what I would do, if I had to free dive, and I had maybe just done a 100-foot wreck dive, if I've got to go down and get someone's weight belt or whatever it was I have to do, I would just dive down. I would grab whatever, let's say it was a weight belt or whatever, and then when I would come up, fins all the way out. So I'm going up slow. Because if you go up as slow, as in like a scuba ascent, you really are minimizing your risk. Most freedivers don't go up like that. Most freedivers go flying up the surface, which is why there's the increased risk. Okay, so that's a pretty good overview of decompression sickness and freediving. Hope that you learned something from that. So let me look at these last questions. If there's any in here that are I will answer. Otherwise, I'm going to wrap this puppy up. Stephen Anderson, yeah, Ted, it was you. I really thought it was me, and then I just think it was the title. So I answered that question. Yeah. All right, so that's it. Where did I go? There I am. Okay, so yeah, so Larry's talking about, so here's if you're a scuba diver, or if you're a scuba diver, I mean, I used to use a specific language in my class when I used to do scuba. Okay, I didn't use the word moron. I said you're an idiot if you take this scuba class and you do not get Dan insurance, right? Mistakes happen, shit can go wrong, and if you get bent, right, especially if you're in some tropical location, they might not have a decompression simmer. So that means someone's going to have to fly to you, helicopter you to the chamber, right? You think your ambulance ride's expensive? Try getting a helicopter ride to someplace, and then the whole process is crazy expensive, right? And the DAM programs, I mean, I'm not in tune with it as much anymore, but I think you have like $39 a year or $49 a year. Right? If you're a scuba diver, it's insane not to have your DAM membership. It just makes no sense. And if you're a free diver, there's actually benefit as well because they cover a lot of insurance. They deliver a lot of stuff, right? So I mean, You really should. If you're a scuba diver, you're an idiot if you don't have dam insurance, right? But if you're a free diver, there's actually a benefit too as well, and I have it for sure, and we'll always have it as long as I spend time in the water. Someone was asking about descent speed. I mean, we teach your ideal ascent and descent speed is about a meter a second or 3 feet a second, right? So if it's a 20-meter dive, a 66-foot dive, the way down should take about 20 seconds, and the way up should take about 20 seconds, and however long you're down there for, however long you're down there for. But hopefully that answers your question. Well, it does answer your question. All right, so I'm gonna wrap this puppy up. I will be back. I'm gonna do Tuesday and Wednesday for sure. Maybe Thursday. I'm hoping to have a guest on this week. I'm just got to get the technical of how to do the guests and put it on here. For you guys that are watching the show at this point, you guys are basically you're watching me learn how to make the show because I don't quite know what I'm doing. But hopefully I can start figuring out how to do the guests on here. And so hopefully that will happen this week. So I may do that on Thursday, may do that on Wednesday. I'm probably going to move the show to Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Instead of doing it 5 days a week. That's becoming a little hectic and chaotic around the house. So I'll probably do 3 days a week, and then maybe bonus on Thursday if the schedule works. So I'm committing myself less. But so that's probably what I do is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday for sure, and then Thursday on occasion. I do have some big news coming up to announce about the show. I can't announce it just yet. I may be able to announce it tomorrow, but gotta see how that all goes. So I'm excited to do that. But wrap this thing up for you guys. If you watched this long, if you watched to the end, I hope you enjoyed the show. There is one single thing you can do to help support the show, and that is whatever platform you're on, share it. Now, what I'll tell you for Facebook is if you hit the share button, that is awesome, right? But all that happens is on your feed, it just is a box of me. It goes, blah, 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 right? And I'm going blah, 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 about free diving. They don't know who the hell I am. All they know is like this guy's what the hell are all these logos all over the place, right? They don't know who I am or what I am, so they're probably not going to be interested. But your friends know you, and if you can take the time to say, hey, check this, like me, like, check this show out. It's awesome. If you're into free diving, there's no reason you shouldn't turn it. Because if you say the show is good, they're going to be like, oh, I'd kind of be interested to learn more about free diving. So if you take the time to add some sort of commentary on that, it's the single best thing you can do. It's not even that hard, especially since you can go to freedivingsafety.com, learn to save yourself, save your buddy, save some money at the same time. There's no reason not to visit freedivingsafety.com. All right, see you guys.